This is the 6th anniversary of Otto Warmbier's detention in North Korea, and then later on he was returned back to the US in very bad condition, and he passed away a few days later. Today is like the 6th anniversary of it, and the case has resurfaced because the US court just awarded him like $500 million in compensation. North Korea wasn't even there at the courts. They somehow managed to take the money and then give it to the family. Today we're going to talk about some of the body language lessons that we can learn, so stay tuned.
A mission to retrieve U.S. citizen Otto Warmbier, last seen in public 14 months earlier. A prisoner of the regime of North Korea.
One of those things that you just can't understand is why would you want to go to a country that doesn't really welcome you? There's a very high chance of getting detained.
He books through a Chinese travel agency. Its slogan, "We take you to destinations your mother would rather you stay away from." He joins an international group. They have a great time. Every year, the agency touts their dazzling travel highlight in Pyongyang. The alcohol flows freely. The tour guides make sure everyone's in a good mood. Nights are long at Pyongyang's only hotel for foreigners.
It's why would you want to go to a country that doesn't really welcome you? There's a very high chance of getting detained, getting tortured, and never see your family again. The reason why is that some people have this adventure profile. They just want to go to countries that are very dangerous, so it becomes very Instagrammable. Oh, I've been to North Korea, I've been to Iraq, whatever, Afghanistan. One of the reasons why I think North Korea allows a small group of visitors to enter their country and to show them a good time. Number one is probably propaganda, so they want you to tell them, well, hey, North Korea is not as bad as it seems. My friends have been there and they come back and say, hey, what, everything's good. Of course, you're restricted to only view a certain place and you'll always have a guard following you. Then I ask him, have it never occurred to you that perhaps by having this constant flow of foreigners into the country, North Korea will have access to hostages whenever they need to have one?
Otto's group has fun too. It isn't clear whether they also took on the challenge of the forbidden fifth floor, but many tourists have done so in the past. It is the staff's floor, with hallways full of propaganda slogans.
Nobody.
The hotel's surveillance center is also located here. Tourists are usually just admonished. They act innocent and run off. This New Year's Eve, however, the cameras capture someone taking a poster from the wall. It is 1:57 a.m., and it is, according to the trial, Otto Warmbier.
Before I go on, I like to tell you that this case is very unfortunate. My heart goes out to the family. This should never happen. A regime should not be treating people like that. Warmbier should have realized his action that maybe he shouldn't have strayed off to the fifth floor just for an adventure, especially in a country where things are just so strict. So he was caught and then returned back to the United States in very bad condition physically, and he died. And then later on, this U.S. government officials insinuated that the North Korean actually plucked out his teeth, shifted it, and put it back in. I don't even know why they need to do that just to torture him. Isn't that a better way of torturing him than to do some teeth plucking and then use the best surgeon to put it in so that no evidence will be shown? So I think this is made up because when you see this photo, it clearly shows that his teeth was already crooked, and from his jacket, his outfit, you know, this is the recent trial after he was detained. He was in that same suit and the same jacket, so this was before he was incarcerated, so it was still at the trial stage, and his teeth was already bended. But listen to this guy.
The expert continues making controversial claims, citing the question of Otto Warmbier's teeth, for example.
His teeth were in perfect, fine alignment, straight. When he was returned, it was clear that at least 2 of his lower teeth had been realigned, which is a polite way of saying plucked out and then shoved back in.
So this guy, probably a US attorney, we don't know, Google his name, Lee Suk-yong, and you see no evidence and no trace of him. Probably too afraid that he might be assassinated, but I assume he's a US attorney. And you know, when he says things like,
when he was returned, it was clear that at least 2 of his lower teeth had been realigned.
It's clearly seen. It's not clear. Lawyers do that. They say it's clear. The evidence clearly shows. It's just a hypnotic way of trying to influence the verdict, but that's not true. So I'm going to share with you a lesson here today on what we mean by expert liars and non-expert liars. Okay. So first of all, my conclusion is no, his teeth was not plucked out and re-implanted in. Maybe they tortured him in other ways, and I'm sure they did. That's why he died. Again, my heart goes out to the family and the people of America. But here's a second one I want to show you, which is that stage confession. There's no question about this. Even the commentator said this was a stage confession. So I'm going to share with you how we see a stage confession.
Propaganda televises a staged confession.
I entirely beg you, people and government of the DPR Korea, for your forgiveness. Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life. But please, I never should have allowed myself to be allured by the United States administration to commit a crime in this country.
A show trial with obviously coerced statements.
Okay, so from this short video, I'm going to play it again. It's like, you know, those people who just joined Toastmasters and they were taught how to deliver a speech. You see, when you go out into a platform, the first thing you do is to concentrate on content. Okay, so for the novice who goes out there, the first thing is, what should I present? So you go to places like Toastmasters, they teach you how to express yourself. And a very common mistake, and what we picked out, is that the body language movement is not congruent to the way they want to express.
But please, I never should have allowed myself to be allured.
So in this, like, they do this
to commit a crime in this country.
Oh, they're wiping out fake tears. There's no tears. And there's a lot of over-exaggeration, which you actually see this in maybe Shakespeare stage and things like that. For amateur stage, you see a lot of overacting.
Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life. But please, I never should have allowed myself to be allured by the United States administration.
So that's the best I can share with you. You know, some people commented, "Hey Christian, you say you're an expert, but you teach us so little." Well, it's like 20 over years of body language experience, and how can I just share with you over a 10-minute video? So what I'm going to say is, it's just the overacting in this case, okay? And where the body movements are very incongruent. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, chairman. Good morning, judges. Every movement, they have to make an action, just like a little kid in grammar school. So that's roughly what I see here, that he was coerced into doing a false confession. Okay, so now when we compare this false confession to this so-called Korean lawyer, I assume it's South Korean, this is an expert liar. When the reporters ask him questions, he can lie through his teeth because they do it all the time. Okay, so you look at this chart. When you attend my body language workshop, I will share with you a few things. One's called the expert liar, one's not the expert liar, one shows nervousness but it's not lying at all, okay? And the other one, of course, is not guilty. Who are the people that show nervousness or gestures or tells and they are not lying? These are people who are involved but they are not guilty. So it could be your mom. Your mom knows that you killed someone, and when the police question your mom becomes nervous. Okay, so your mom becomes a suspect to the untrained eye. They say, oh, she showed a lot of nervousness, so she's guilty. That's not how body language actually works. Okay, it shows tells, but it doesn't incriminate a person. And then there are the not normal people that in a certain instance needed to lie, but they are not expert liars. And then they will show all these leaks and tells. Okay, and then this group of people, which are the con men and the lawyers, who are expert liars. And you know, for most of you who are just watching this video right now and you are not a body language expert or a detector, then that's our domain. That's how we make our money. We get hired in, we detect these expert liars, and we do questioning techniques. And then okay, if you ask me about this lawyer Lee, attorney Lee guy,
when he was returned, it was clear that at least 2 of his lower teeth had been realigned.
He doesn't even show any leaks, and he's just lying, because sometimes liars are convinced of their own lie. They live the lie, okay, and they are convinced and they go in very confidently. They influence you, and that's the story of the day.